Thanks for joining us, and a lot of your messages have been coming in. A lot of women viewers, female viewers, asking more about endometriosis. And as earlier mentioned, little is known about endometriosis, albeit the fact that a lot of women in Kenya are suffering from this condition silently. They suffer silently because of endometriosis, whose symptoms sometimes may include painful periods, which are assumed to be normal for a lot of women. So they take a lot of painkillers. And this is not my story. Let me cross over to my guest in studio this evening, Njambi Koikai. You've got a lot of fans who know you as Fire Mama.
Yeah.
I love the hair, by the way.
Thank you. And you look so pretty in person.
Really? Wow.
Well, I just remember you from this about, yeah.
Oh, and a lot of other stories, by the way. So, Njambi, and you know, the interesting thing about you is that you've been an anchor, you've been on radio, you've really been a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, let's talk about, you know, the fact that you've been very active on social media recently, talking about endometriosis.
Yeah.
Just going back to your personal story, when did you notice that something was not right?
It was October 2015. And I remember I was working at QFM and I was doing the night shift and I was taking up the stairs. And at one point I was wheezing so bad and I couldn't breathe. And I had to stop at the staircase for a while. Then, you know, gather more strength and walk into the studio. So I was doing the 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. shift. So I walked into the studio, you know, pushed up the faders and I started talking. And by the time I was on air, I remember I kept on losing breath. Then at one point I couldn't breathe. I pushed down the faders and I just lay on the mixer. And I was all alone in the studio. So I managed to get out of the studio and get the driver to drop me home. So then the following weeks we left the station because there was a retrenchment exercise. And right after that, I was raised by my grandmother. So my grandmother fell ill. And my chest pains wouldn't go away. So we went to hospital. And I remember going to hospital and having the x-ray done because of my chest. And the doctor came out and asked me, who accompanied you to hospital? And I said, my mother and my grandmother. And he said, you can't go home tonight. You have to go into theater because your lungs have collapsed. And I was like, lungs have collapsed? What's that? You know, so we went into theater the first time and I came out. Then a month later, it happened again. So I was back to hospital in the theater for the next surgery. And then the third time it happened again. And this time we still didn't know what was happening. So all these theories about, you know, my lungs collapsing were all misdiagnoses.
Misdiagnosis in all the hospitals you went to?
Yes. Yes.
And this is happening monthly?
Yes. Yes.
And around the same time?
Yes. Yes. Between my ovulation and my period. And sometimes I even have two collapses when I'm ovulating and when I'm on my period. So I was on TV fundraising for my grandmother because my grandmother had pancreatic cancer stage 4. And I was on TV talking about how, you know, I'm also having these chest pains and, you know, it's crazy. So this girl named Cindy Nenkashe, and God bless Cindy, she got in touch with me on Facebook. And she asked me, I don't mean to be invasive, but do these lung collapses happen when you're on your period? And I was like, surprisingly, yes. So she advised me to go and see her gynecologist, who's Dr. Patel at Aga Khan. And I did, and I went and got the test done, and that's when he diagnosed me with thoracic endometriosis. I've suffered painful periods all my life. But 2 years ago is when it got worse. So what happens with endometriosis, these are cells that grow around the ovaries. And if not checked, these cells could move to other parts of your body. And they could move to other organs of your body. In my case, they moved to my lungs. So every month I'm on my period, these cells bleed into my lungs as well. And so they cause my lungs to collapse.
And this is rare? This particular, I mean, because you call it thoracic endometriosis. This is rare?
It's rare. Thoracic endometriosis is rare, and there's also the other type of endometriosis that goes to the brain. That's also rare. But the millions of women who are suffering from this thing silently, you know, because most of the women who suffer from painful periods are at risk of, you know, having endometriosis. Most of the women who have, you know, endometriosis, it's either intertwined in the intestines or the colon or the fallopian tubes, and so it's a total mess.
So Njambi, define for us what extreme pain is, because a lot of women experience cramping and they assume that this is basically, you know, the order of the day for just about every other woman of reproductive age. When you say extreme pain,
you know, Lillian, we've normalized pain. And as African societies, we're so used to pain, to a point whereby if anybody is going through period pain, you're told take a painkiller, or when you get a baby, it's going to go away. For some people, it doesn't go away even after children. This is pain that makes you, you know, this is pain that debilitates, pain that makes you not go ahead with your normal duties, pain that makes you vomit, pain that makes you diarrhea, pain that makes you, you know, like you feel like you're paralyzed, you feel like a sore is inside your stomach cutting up your intestines. It's crazy. Pain that makes you roll on the floor, ground on the floor, because you know you can't take it anymore. It's pain I can't even understand. I can't even explain to you. You know, and very heavy bleeding, very heavy bleeding.
I'll take you back to saying that you went to 3 hospitals before somebody actually reached out to you, and you decided to go see a gynecologist. I'm curious about that lady in the rural areas who probably is going through the same pain and is silent about it, because we're told women experience pain during their periods. Your experience of the healthcare system here in this country, having gone through this particular situation, do we have facilities that are able to take this on, and our insurance policies as well? Are they able to support women that are going through this?
No, because our healthcare system in itself is a problem. It's a mess. You know, if we can't be able to handle malaria, you know, just the other day there was an outbreak of malaria and people died of malaria. What's endometriosis? You know, they don't even know there's endometriosis. You go to a hospital with crazy period pain and they tell you it's in your head. You know, how are you supposed to deal with that if the medics are telling you it's in your head? It's sad that people don't understand it. Then we don't have the facilities. Then we need more doctors to be trained in order to be able to deal with this disease. It's the next big crisis. I mean, 170 million women worldwide are suffering from this thing. So it's about time the government took it on seriously and started realizing that there's a demographic between the ages of 13 and over 45 that are dealing with this thing to the tune of millions.
And talking about your gynecologist, because I mean, some lady reached out to you on Facebook and asked you to go see a gynecologist. How many women actually can afford gynecology care in this country? It's considered to be an elite concept. And therefore, let's go back to the gynecologist and what test exactly he had to take to diagnose that this was endometriosis.
I mean, first of all, it's very expensive. And then most insurance companies and most insurance covers are like, hey, you have endometriosis, you're a risk, so we're not going to deal with you. And that's what I've been going through. I mean, I've had to pay all my hospital bills cash. And you know, and I've been in hospital this whole year. I've been going to hospital almost every month. I've had 10 surgeries this year.
10 surgeries?
Yes, I've had 10 surgeries.
Where does the surgery happen? If this is not too intrusive, where do they...
It's normally right here under my breast, and then they insert a tube. So the tube stays in for about 4 or 5 days while it sucks out the air, the water and the blood. And then after that, they remove it and sew me up again and go back home.
And roughly how much does this cost?
It costs about 150 to 250,000
monthly.
Yes, yes. So imagine, you're talking about the women in the villages, the women in the ghettos. How can these women get help? You know, at least I don't take this as a victim. I take this as the voice for the women, because I can be able to come here, you know, and sit with you and talk about it. I can be able to rally my friends in the music industry to do a benefit concert for me. How about the women in the ghetto? Who's going to speak up for them? And this is why I say that women leaders in this country need to take this issue seriously, and women's reproductive health is not something that they should be talking about in the back burner. They should be fighting for, you know, the rights of women in this country, and reproductive health is something that should be at the forefront. Because I don't understand, Lillian, I mean, to me it just doesn't make sense that we don't have a reproductive health bill that's supported by women, you know. There's nothing to help women in regards to their reproductive health. If, for example, I can't be able to seek services from a gynecologist, then how does that make me healthy as a woman?
You were telling me about the test that the doctor carried out to diagnose you. I think we didn't quite finish that.
So the test is to diagnose endometriosis. First of all, you have to undergo through a mini invasive surgery. It's known as a laparoscopy. It's quite expensive. It costs 200,000 shillings. So how many women can afford that? And you know, it's sad because our government doesn't even know about it. Yeah.
Did the doctor tell you what causes endometriosis? What is it that causes this? Is it genetic? What did he say?
Well, there are many theories in regards as to why or how endometriosis happens, or what causes endometriosis. Well, some say it's genetic, some say it's a lifestyle disease, so it's not really known, but they're still working on it, and there's a lot of research going on, especially in the States and in UK. They're doing a lot of research on endometriosis to find out what the causes are. Yeah.
Have you had to change your lifestyle, Njambi?
Oh yes, I have. Yes, I mean, my diet completely changed. I'm vegan. You know, just everything changed spiritually. You know, things just took a different outlook completely. Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about you detailing your battle with endometriosis on social media and what informed this decision, instead of taking this on and saying, right now, my focus should be on getting better, and that, but then you're on your hospital bed, Njambi, and you're on Instagram and you're taking photos and saying, I just went through surgery and this is how I'm feeling. Let's talk about why you have chosen to actually be so aggressive about educating the public about this condition.
Because I believe information is power. Information is power, and if we don't have that information, then we will never grow, we will never develop as a people. And women need that information, because Lillian, there's so many people who don't even know about endometriosis. Right now, when I came out and started speaking about it, so many women have come on board and they tell me, yo, Njambi, I seriously never thought this was serious. Like, I didn't think that period pain is something to be taken so seriously. There's so many women who've come out and said, you know what, I also experienced the same pains. The women who've come out and asked me, you know, for my doctor's contacts, and they've gone and they've gotten help. So I choose to speak about it in order to help others.
And talking about myths, because you have a massive fan base, and a lot of people have been supporting you through this and raising money towards your treatment. But I want to single out one particular very unfortunate situation where this person actually came out and said that what you're dealing with is actually not, you know, illness, but a curse. And, you know, we're just going back to myths and rural perceptions and culture, and how somebody could come out and say something like this, and how you received this person's feedback, because feedback is feedback, whether negative or positive. So how did you take this particular opinion of this person?
I mean, I was very sad, because that's a case of ignorance, like serious ignorance, deep-rooted ignorance. Because if you choose to look at life in that way, then it just shows that, you know, you have no information, and you have no, to me, it just basically shows that you choose to be ignorant, and you choose to show it, rather than asking and finding out, how does this happen? You know, what is the cause? You know, he probably has a sister, he probably has a mother, he probably has a daughter who could one day have this, and he will still be thinking it's a curse. You know, and so debunking those myths, debunking the traditions, debunking our societal beliefs as Africans, and you know, just debunking the taboos as well is something that we all need to talk about. Because Lillian, I come from a community as well that, you know, menstruation is not something you can talk about freely. And it's a biological function. It is a simple biological function. Menstruation is just like breathe. It's just like taking in oxygen and you know, taking out carbon dioxide. And I do believe people need to talk about these things.
And as we begin to close, Njambi, in terms of cures and a solution to this, what do doctors say?
There's no known cure for endometriosis apart from management. But in my case, we're seeking funds for specialized treatment in the States, so that they can be able to remove the lungs. I mean, they can be able to remove the cells from the lungs in order to stop the collapses every month. And it's tiring. I'm not going to lie to you, Lillian. It's painful. It's debilitating. The last time I was in hospital, a few weeks ago, my doctor said to me, we were in the theater, and he was like, yo, I can't do this again, man, you know. You know, I'm exposing you to a lot of scarring, you know, and you could also be at risk of getting infection. So it's time we got a specialist to deal with this once and for all. And I was for it. So we sent our medical reports, And you know, we got information back, and the cost of treatment is 10 million shillings.
The cost of treatment is 10 million shillings, and currently, as we speak, there's a benefit concert in support of Njambi Koikai that's going down at the Alchemist. I see very big names. I see Jalad, I see Avril, I see King Kaka. So you've got a lot of support, Njambi, and that's amazing. So tell us more about this event and really how this was conceived and what you aim to do with the proceeds that come from this event.
I mean, I've really worked, I think I've worked in so many industries in this country. I've worked in the music industry, I've done TV, I've done radio, I've been in theater. But everywhere I was going, I was making friends, you know. I was helping people. I was working with people, different people. I never thought one day people would come out in support of Njambi and do something like this. So I was at home, I just come back from hospital, and I was chilling, and I just shared my story and said, you know what, cost of treatment is 10M. I don't have money, you know, my family is run out dry now because we've been paying too many hospital bills, yeah. So a friend of mine called Mato, who plays for the Movement Band, called me and said, yo, Njambi, I just want to celebrate you, man. You know, you've done so much for people. It's about time we did something for you. So can we organize a gig? And I said, sure, cool. And Gilad came from, Gilad was actually in Nigeria before he won the Afrima Awards. And he's like, yo, sis, man, you know, I need to do something for you. So they both linked up with Mato and got this going on together. And, you know, big respect to Njeri Kabebere as well. She's been supportive. Big respect to Bruce Odhiambo, big respect to Big Ted, I mean, to everybody. And to all the media houses that have supported me. I really, really do not take this for granted because we've also spread awareness, you know. And it's quite important that I must also thank Royal Media Services on all the platforms, radio platforms, TV platforms, online platforms. You have really supported this, and you have really supported me, and so I really thank you.
Wow, and this is the amazing. First of all, I just want to get it. I could talk to you forever. Your transition from TV, now you're a Rasta.
I know, right?
That's a show for another day.
Yeah. Even my mom is just like, I don't understand this daughter of mine, but you know what? So,
Njambi, you know, from being this really vibrant girl on TV, on radio, I remember seeing you taking over as host of The Trend on NTV, and then now having to battle and take this head on. What has this taught you about life? How has this shaped you, who you are today? What would you like to say about the Njambi you are now? You probably never imagined that you would be battling endometriosis. What does this teach you about life?
Man, it's just appreciating the small things. Lillian, just like everybody else, I was high rolling. I was busy pushing and, you know, just really riding high on my career. And, you know, I had goals, I had dreams. But then this happens, and it just shows you that there's a higher being, there's God. And that sometimes we do take things for granted. We take breathing in, for example, for granted. Just simple breath. Just that. We do take it for granted. And we need to realize that we need to be each other's keepers. We need to be brothers and sisters keepers. Because in this country, we become too individualistic, you know. If you have a problem, Lillian, it ain't about me, man. So you sort yourself out, you know. But we need to cultivate that community of loving and, you know, being there for each other. Because today is me, tomorrow it could be you. And you never know who's going to be there for you. So I do believe this has really, it hasn't really changed me because my grandmother's death also really affected me. And at that time I was very sick. It's just something to elevate higher thinking and, you know, to get closer to God as well and to teach people. And I believe I am talking on behalf of women who are suffering in silence. And I believe that, you know, once they see this story and once they hear this, they can be hopeful that they will be able to get help. One other thing, though, I'd really like to say is to our men, they really should support us. They really should support the women. Women go through a lot of pain. You know, women suffer a lot in silence. So it's quite important for men to be empathetic and fellow women to be empathetic. Period pain is not something to be normalized, you know. So, I mean, there are people who faint. I used to faint in school. There are women who bleed every day from the 1st to 31st. So it's something we just need to be empathetic about. And you know what, Lillian? Life is to be lived. enjoy it, share, and just spread good vibes. That's all that matters.
You are gorgeous. She's beautiful. She's a conqueror. This is Njambi Koikai. And by the way, she transitions from this fire mama
to Demomta.
You're a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
And we celebrate you. And I wish you a speedy recovery. You're a conqueror. You're a voice.
Thank you.
And we thank you very much for taking time away from your concert to come and be with us and share with the women of Africa on endometriosis. It shall be well. And thank you so much for finding time to be with us.
Thank you, Lillian. I really appreciate it. And once again, I'd really like to thank Royal Media Services. You've been amazing. You've supported me. I mean, there's some fake news going around today.
Yeah.
Someone really wrote a nasty story.
What about?
About me coming here on radio, and they said I was kicked out. And I said, I mean, it's so untimely. It's disappointing, and it's very sad because Royal Media Services have really supported me. I've been here. Like, you'd even think I work here, you know.
And by the way, make your way, before I forget, make your way to the Alchemist. If you don't have a plan this evening, and whatever your plan is, just cancel it. Make your way to the Alchemist. It's in Westlands. You can look on Google Maps and, support Njambi Koikai. The M-Pesa pay bill number is also scrolling on our screens. Please support her. She's a voice of reason, and we really celebrate her right here on Citizen Weekend. Thanks, Njambi, and all the best. I know you need to get back to your concert. We'll catch up another time. It's been great.
Thanks, Lillian.
Yeah, we're taking a short break. We'll be right back. Don't go away.